Hi guys, so today we're gonna talk about controllers and rates and how to set it up so you can fly as smooth as possible. So let's head over to my computer and I'll show you how we get this done. Okay, so we're gonna jump into Betaflight here. Let's connect, let's go into the PID tuning. Let's go to rate profile. And as you can see, I use the actual rates. Let's just use these for now. These are the ones that most people are using nowadays, so let's stay there. So what I wanna explain in this page here, it can be a little bit confusing, but basically it has to do with what you do on the sticks and how that converts over to what your drone receives that you want it to do. So it's like your command. And here you can tell it to either spin fast or slow depending on how much you push the sticks. So to show this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the battery to my drone. And let's not do this too long because you overheat the air unit. So I'm going to connect it right now. See here. Connected, and there we go. And you can see I have a connection now on the drone. So if we look at the here where you can see the drone flipping, so if I do a full flip now and I hold it in, you can see when I let go of it, right? So that's a full flip for me, and I know this by heart because this is what I want and what I'm used to. Let's say that you want to know what are the good rates for you. So I usually say, if you're new to this, try the rates I have, maybe a little bit slower. If you want to fly like Mr. Steel and just do crazy stuff, you need to have higher rates. But let's start with these ones because these are simple and easy and what some people call cinematic. And so what you want to do is you want to close your eyes and you want to pull the stick and do a full roll movement. And if you do a roll movement, I'll show you one here. So I close my eyes and I do a full flip and it almost to the end there. Let's go one more time. You see, I'm not stopping where I want. I'm doing this on purpose now because this is what's going to happen to you. So let's say you have in your mind a full flip for me is that. You see it didn't go all the way. Well, if you go to roll here, I have 590. Let's remember that. And now let's go to, let's say 800. And now I'm going to do the same thing and look at how fast this thing flips now. You see, it went even more. So the higher you go, we can even go to 1,000 here. Let's do 1,000 and look at it spin now. You see how fast that spins? So this doesn't relate 100% over to real life. Let's just be real honest. So what you do is you look at here and you try it. This is like a simulation. So you try it on here and you see how much you like it. So I'm going to leave this on 1,000. I'm going to fly it on 1,000 and then I'm going to bring it down to 500 and I'm going to fly both of these and I'm going to show you guys the difference of what it looks like when I'm flying it. And what I can say is if you're doing freestyle and heavy maneuvers, yes, go a little bit higher, maybe try 800, which is already crazy high. I wouldn't do 1,000, which is what I'm going to do now, and it's going to go crazy. All right, I'm going to disconnect this. So let's go outside and fly 500 and 1,000 on only the roll so I can show you guys the difference. And then we're going to talk about the expo and the center sensitivity. Right. So we've got this set to 1,000 on the roll rate axis only. I'm going to fly it. It's going to be a little bit weird for me because I'm so used to the other one. But yeah, just to show you guys how fast is really fast. And yeah, I'm going to fly a little bit higher up just to see so that I don't crash, you know, because I'm not used to this. But I'm just gonna wait for me to get the signal in the goggles. I've got them. And let's take off. All right, so I'm gonna go away from the cars over here. I'm gonna do a roll right over here. And let's go for it. Holy smokes, yeah. That is just ridiculous. I'm gonna do another one. So I can do a double here. And it's just so fast, as you can see on this clip. It is just way too fast. And then when you are flying like around stuff, you can see how jerky the movement becomes. Even though I've got hyper smooth on the GoPro, just because these props are so janky, I just don't want too much vibration in the video. But yeah, so you can see here how reactive it is. I'm gonna do the same thing on the sticks. You can see here how much I'm moving the sticks like that. I'm gonna do the exact same thing on the 500. And you can see how much that is just ridiculous. Like, that is just stupid ridiculous. All right, let's land it and let's give it a little bit on the 500 and show you guys what that looks like. And as you can see, I am pinching like I always do. All right, I'm gonna try and do a flip very low here, just for the camera. Is this close enough, Betu? Okay, so this is gonna be so fast, I don't think I'm gonna be able to control it, but whoa, that was a double flip. That's insane. It's actually fun. I've never flown line of sight so fast. I gotta say, I think it's funny. Woo! Didn't think I was gonna say that. All right, let's land and let's do the 500. Okay, and now we're doing 500, which is a little bit lower than I have, so this will be a breeze, at least for me. And I'll show you guys how much smoother this is gonna fly if you're out after making, you know, what they call cinematic. So let's arm this drone. And let's do the first flip. You see how smooth that was? Look. And that was full deflection, so I'm gonna do another one. Full deflection, and you see how smooth I can just come into that, because this is slower. So now I'm gonna show you guys what I was talking about with the jerky movements. Look at that. And I'm probably going more than I did on the other one, so. And you can see how much smoother that is. But then again, when you're getting close to something, you're in trouble, you have to give it a little bit more deflection. So it's like getting used to it. I mean, and also, one thing that happens when you're flying is you get a lot of people, like their first flight, they're doing like this all the time, trying to overcorrect. That can be because you're too low or too high on your rates of what you thought you should be doing on the rates. So once again, and for me to do like a double roll, it'd take this long time. You see how long time that took? Yeah. So basically, that's how much the rates change. And if you want to do flippity floppity like Mr. Steele, my boy Mr. Steele, then yeah, you probably need to go like 700, 800, 1,000 is just ridiculous. So let me just fly this thing line of sight now for you guys, just to show you. All right, so just do a quick line of sight so we can get a side view. So here you go. You can see how smooth that is on the roll. All right. Okay, now that you've seen what the max rate does, I would like to show you. I'm gonna first of all put this back to what I was using. I'm actually gonna go a little, no, I'm gonna go back to 590. All right, so, and hit the save button right there. And the drone went nuts. There we go, okay. Here we go, it's back, all right. So, in order for this to move, you do have to have the crossfire on your drone so you can get the feedback back to the program here. So I do have my drone on with the props off. Okay, if we look at over here at the center sensitivity, what does that do? If you look at this curve right here where the mouse is going, I'm gonna change this to, let's say 50, or let's do 100. And you can see how that taps off earlier. Now, why do I want it on 20? Because when you are, if you look at the stick right here, when you're in the middle, there's a little, like a little latch there. And if you're just flying inside that latch, you're gonna get a little bit of this when you're flying with the drone. I don't know, you can hardly see it, but when you're like going through one, it stops and then starts going again. So the less you have here on the center sensitivity, the less you're gonna notice that little bulge. And also it's going to be a little, like there's not going to be all these micro movements that you're doing. Like sometimes when you see some people flying, you'll see a little bit of this. That could be their sticks coming in, or it could be that you've got not very good sticks from a cheaper remote, or the remote is old, or it's got some dust in it or something. So I like keeping this center sensitivity as low as possible. Now my drone is going on. I'm just going to turn it off and on again. Here we go. All right. And so I would like to have this even lower, but then I don't feel like I have as much control as I would. So I found that 20 is the correct value for me. For people who are starting off, I do recommend having it at least between 50 and 70. Now, let's talk about expo. This is an important thing. This is how much, when you look, if I move my stick now, you're going to see this little ball move here. You see that red ball go in? And you see how many degrees it's going. So I'm halfway and it's doing 100 degrees right there. and here it's doing 590. So it's because I want to have it a little bit less sensitive in the beginning of using the stick, and just in the end, that's where I want the power. And that's why you get these flips that just, when you flip and you come out of a flip and you just bring it back, that's how we get that smoothing back into it. That's how we do it, using that expo. For me, I found that 54 is my number. It took me a long time, but I do recommend people to go from, let's start off with 20, 30, 40, 50, and you try it just on one axis. Don't try and do all three axes. You don't need to. So start with the roll axis and then start going up gradually and see how you like it feeling. When you found something that works, that you feel like this works, go out and fly it somewhere where you like flying and doing some freestyle, so that you get the feeling, if it goes too far, that you still have control. Because if you go a little bit too far, you can start getting where you can't, get it back to control, then you've gone too far, either too low or too high. So that's how I like setting my rates. That was for the roll. Pitch, the same thing. Yaw, I just do the exact same as the two above, just lower. Now you're gonna ask me, but David, you've got 590 on the roll and 620 on the pitch. Why? Because the pitch, it has a camera on it. So when you look at the drone, you have a camera in the front and the battery at the back. So you have a different weight distribution. That's why you need a little bit more to make it work out. Now, how do you figure that out? You do your roll rate, and then on your pitch, if you have a drone like mine, which the camera is very much on the front and the battery is on the back, you have a little bit higher rates. You can try that out and find for you what works the best. All right, I hope that was informative enough for you guys. Now let's talk about the radio. All right, as you can see, I've got a bunch of controllers in front of me. We're basically gonna talk about FPV, but I'm just gonna use the other ones just for references. All right, so I was flying this remote for a very long time, and I am working on a video explaining why I swapped from one to the other, and I'll have that out very soon. But basically, this is small, agile, and you can take it with you everywhere. This is a little bit bigger, but has more functions, and I do like the added weight, and I'm gonna explain the differences of all of these right now. So number one thing you want to get when you're starting with FPV is a good remote, so you can use it on a simulator. Most remote controllers will work on a simulator like Liftoff or Velocidrone, Unreal Crash. There's so many right now. Anyways, all of them will work, and as long as you know how to set it up correctly and get your rates into the simulator the way that you want your drone, future drone, or you already have a drone, how that should work and feel the same, you can get all that done. Now, let's get into the remotes. The most important thing about the remote is the connection to the drone, all right? You don't want that to fail, because that will mean that the drone will drop and crash. Therefore, I recommend using Crossfire, because it's what I use, and I do know that ELRS is very good, and I'm testing it at the moment on some drones. The only issues I've had is like everybody else, flashing it and getting it to work is a little bit complicated in the beginning, but once you get it, it's not that difficult. So enough about Crossfire or ELRS. That's up to you to decide what you want to use. Now, for me, the important thing is when I see people getting into this is, if you are from a younger generation, what we call the PlayStation generation, you are used to this kind of controller from the PlayStation and you fly with your thumbs. I believe, and this is just what I think, and you can take that with a grain of salt, that you should be flying always, when you fly a drone, it's pinching. That's why I'm wearing this t-shirt, pinch your thumbing. So I am a strong believer that pinching will make you fly smoother and have a little bit more precision. Now, having that said, I do fly with lots of other pilots and some that are like very professional, cinema grade pilots, and they fly thumbing. So it's not wrong. There's not one that's right and wrong. I'm just saying that I feel that it's easier to make it fly smoother pinching. And when I get people who do thumb and I get them to swap to pinching, more than not, they say that they agree and that they keep on going with the pinching. So on this remote, I've swapped the gimbals. And why would you swap the gimbals? I will explain that with this right here. All right, so this is not a Hall gimbal. This is just a regular gimbal. And as you can see, it's got something in here. I think they're called potentiometers. And when I move it right there, you can see how that moves. And then there's another one on this axis right here. So this is basically a little bit more, it's still digital, but I would call it a little bit more analog-y than the other ones. And these are fine, but they're not as precise as a Hall effect gimbal. And yeah, these are how all the gimbals were before. And now we're all moving on to Hall gimbals. So this is probably what comes in a more basic remote. So you saw how that works. The Hall gimbals are better. These on this one right here are made out of CNC'd aluminum or aluminium, whatever you want to call it. And they had this feel that is just amazing. This is the best feeling I've ever had in a remote. Maybe this is a little bit plasticky and it's a cheaper remote compared to, let's say, this old but very expensive DJI remote, which also has pretty decent gimbals, but you just can't get them to feel like you can on the FPV drones. Here's a very old one that I had as well, which I swapped to the Hall effect gimbals as well, and it's held up for many, many years. So Hall effect gimbals are the thing. Yes, they are. Do you need them when you're starting off? No, you don't. Do you want them later on? You probably do. And talking about thumbing and pinching, there's something that I've seen that not many people know that you can do. So you can actually grab these stick ends and move them up and down. And just as you can see, I have these set to the height so that my fingers don't hit here. And the funny thing is, when I got my Mini 3, I got this remote and it comes with these very small sticks. And most people who fly this will thumb. I want to pinch. So what I did is I bought these right here. And as you can see, I have more resolution using these as well, and I have more precision. And these also, you can, put them higher up and lower down as you wish. So basically on these, you can, undo the top crown is what they call it, and then you can bring the other one down, screw it in more, and when you bring when you put it back, you get it much lower. So if you are thumbing, you want that probably as low as possible, so you can reach all the ends that you want. And when you're like me, a pincher, you want to bring that. So what I do is I bring just the crown up, put it at the edge, and then I grab it and I push my fingers and I will screw it in like this until I start feeling that my finger is hitting the edge here. So it will be over here, and then you can just counter screw them against each other. And now you can see that when I push it, I'm hitting with my fingers just the edge over here, and then I know that I am at the edges of where I need to go. So you can bring that up and down as you feel you want it to. And that's exactly what I did for this, because as I was saying, the original one, it's so low. Look at the difference of these two. And I really wanted to be pinching to have like very good resolution on what I'm doing. So for example, if I do put this one in here, you can see the difference. Like, look at how much time I have to go through all the area. And this is a little bit more direct. So I just feel it's jerkier with this. And also for flying like that, this is so much better than this one right here. So that's why I pinch. Please comment below if you are a thumber and you disagree with me, because I would love to hear that. Another thing that I noticed that lots of pilots don't have is this, the strap. Now let me explain something. This strap is one of the best upgrades you could do, because right now you can put weight onto it. Now, some people don't use the strap. I didn't before, and when I started using it, I noticed a difference, especially since I like to stand when I'm flying. Some people sit down, some people can sit in a car. Me, I like standing firm like this. And when I have the strap on, what I do is I push the remote down like this, and that just gives me a certain precision of the remote not being in my hand, and doing this all the time. And it just works out much better for me. So yes, on the strap, and if you get one of these nice ones, just unclip it. So when you want to go mess around with your drone, when you come back, just clip that back in there and you can go. So I'm a firm believer that the strap will make you fly smoother for sure. So you should probably try it and comment and tell me what you thought about that. And from there, you can find whatever is best for you. And if you want to go with fast rates and thumbing, that's okay. If you want to go with sticks like me and slower rates, that's fine too. It's what's best for you to get the result that you want. I've shown you how to find out and how to work into it, and it's complicated sometimes, it takes time. But when you put the time in, you will get the most amazing feeling flying these fun drones. All right, I hope this was fun. I hope you learned something. And well, like everybody else, just follow me, Instagram me, whatever, DM me. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll try to reply to them. There'll be other people who probably reply to them too. All right, guys, so stay safe, fly hardcore. Bye. Fiz logo dois. Welcome to the remote controllers by David Gu. What I'm going to tell you now is that we have to set up the remote control so you can fly the drone like flippity floppy like anybody else. Okay, are you ready for this? Okay, here we go.